One day there was a great storm, and the leaves on its branches became covered with snow, and its neck bowed under the weight on its crown. Eventually, its branches snapped off, leaving only jagged edges. The little acorn was broken. Once again, it had lost part of itself, and this time it didn't think it could be fixed. As it looked down, feeling hopeless, it saw a bird's nest that had fallen off of one of its branches. A baby bird who had been pinned down was struggling to breathe. "Please help me," tweeted the bird frantically, but the acorn felt so sorry for itself that it pretended it couldn't hear the bird's pleas. Finally, there was only silence. Eventually, the acorn started to wonder what had happened to the baby bird, and it began to worry that it had become too hurt to cry out. So the acorn called to it in the darkness. But there was no answer. It then used what branches it had left to lift up the broken parts of itself, searching for the fragile life underneath. But there was only emptiness. For many more years, the acorn was alone. During this time, it thought about the little bird whom it could have helped, and it felt a deep sense of regret. It also thought about the girl and how she saved it because of the goodness in her heart. And it realized it was selfish to want to keep her from seeing the world. In fact, it knew it was no better than the oak tree from which it had grown. The acorn would also spend a lot of time thinking about its early life when it was attached to the oak tree. Back then, it thought the tree had stood tall and straight with lush branches. But now, for a reason it did not understand, it was aware that the tree had not been straight at all. Rather, it was twisted and bent, and it was mostly hollow, and many of its branches had died. One night when the tree came to the acorn in a dream, the acorn asked, "Oak tree, please tell me what happened to you so long ago. How did you become so damaged?" The oak tree said, "Long ago, when I was a sapling, I remember the forest as a lonely place. All the trees that surrounded me were concerned only with themselves, taking up the light from the sun and using the water in the soil which I needed to thrive. And I had always stood naked, exposed to the dangers of the world. One night a bolt of lightning, which seemed to come from nowhere, struck me. After that, I never could grow inside. Over time, my trunk became crooked, for I was sick, and that was all I knew. When you appeared on my branch, I was happy you could finally take care of me and fulfill all of my needs.